So I'll be demoing to you my Rasa Chatbot app in the Rasa Shell, and then if we get time, I'll do it from Unity as well. So a little bit on my setup, I have multiple Docker containers that are running. So I have the action server that's running. I have multiple custom actions for having Rasa fetch data from MayoClinic on colon cancer symptoms as well as risk factors. I have Rasa send out web crawlers to go get that information. And I also have a custom action on sending data to a SpringBoot server that then sends out MySQL queries to insert the data into the MySQL database table, PCC symptoms through JDBC connection. And we're going to be using this Rasa Shell Docker container, which will connect to SB server, as well as the Rasa GI cancers database. So here I have referenced my stories. We're just going to start out with some, simple conversation. I'm good. And then we're going to go into letting Rasa know I'm here for colon cancer. And what are your questions? So I'm going to ask Rasa, what is colon cancer? And Rasa tells me what are the stages of colon cancer. And then, Rasa will tell me the stages of colon cancer. And then, let's get to some of the custom actions. So for instance, what are the risk factors of colon cancer? So I have a custom action where Rasa will send out a web crawler that makes a API call to request this data from MayoClinic colon cancer's page to retrieve the risk factors. And similarly, we can ask, what are the symptoms of colon cancer? And the custom action will be initiated, and we'll get back from MayoClinic. Here are symptoms, and then we can also now initiate. I have some rules. So rules where we can see it. So rules. When Rasa receives a request on the symptoms form, it'll then send out an action to start having us fill out the symptoms form. And then when we finish, what'll happen is it'll submit a acknowledgement and then share the data that it's collected on us so far, and then take that data it's collected on us using slots and then send that over through a post request to SpringBoot server. And here we have the domain where I have configured, set up, the form, each of the slots to hold information directly from our text. And then here are the utterances that Rasa will send to us. So I'm going to say, I want to fill in the colon cancer symptoms. Right, and so now Rasa is going to ask me information, say Emily, and then what is your current time? We're going to say it's 7:04:00, and then bowel habits, stool, we'll say black, and that's the color. And then have you noticed any muscle weakness? I'm going to say false. Energy fatigue, true. Have you noticed any rectal bleeding? I'm going to say true. Have you noticed any blood in your poo? I'll say false. How would you describe your ab discomfort? So in this case, I'll say cramps. And then have you felt like your bowel isn't empty? I'll say true. And keep in mind, Rasa has slots, so it's collecting all this information as we're inserting it to the form. Have you experienced unexplained weight loss? I'll say false. So now Rasa is going to send us what it's collected so far, and then it's also going to let us know if it sent it to the database, SpringBoot. So in that case, we want to look real quick at what happened with SpringBoot, and we can see here that SpringBoot, in fact, did receive our post request, and then it tells us what it did. So in this case, it sent an insert statement of our new user's symptoms to our PCC symptoms table. So now if we do this select command, we'll see that Emily, her symptoms are in the symptoms table. And so that is Rasa, chatbot running from the Shell application. In a moment, I'll show